Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We're going to do an unboxing video for you today. The game in question is 9 Years, the War of the Grand Alliance. This is a game using the No Peace Without Spain system. The 9 Years War, which I have never heard called the War of the Grand Alliance before, but it's possible that somewhere in Europe it's called that. Was a 17th century war, and this period kind of leads into the War of the Spanish Succession. It's super rattly, so sorry about that. But this is a 2016 release. It was released after No Peace Without Spain, but before the recent reprint of No Peace Without Spain and the new game in the sort of series, A Pragmatic War, which is the War of the Austrian Succession. So we got nice box. So this is a 2016 release, but it's a nice thick box. What we don't have in this, which we did have in the previous games, the other games in the series, at least the new editions, is a mounted map. We got a paper map in here. So we got, once again, a deck of cards, which we're not going to take a look at, but the graphic style is definitely similar, which is totally fine. We got some player aids. Let's set these to the side. We got some player aids. These are 11 by 17 fold-outs. They look quite detailed, more detailed than the ones in A Pragmatic War. And I'm happy to say they have rules references on them. I've already said my piece on rules on the player aid cards. Multi-turn event sheet. So I don't know what's up with this. Okay, so what these look like are cards that you add at various points in the game? That's a great question. Let's hope we uncover that detail as we go. So we got two of these player aids and then that multi-turn event thing. And then we have the remainder of the contents, which is a map, which is a paper map, unlike the other two. So let's look at that first. We got a pile of dice here, if I didn't mention it. I think this is a bucket of dice type of point-to-point card-driven game system, much like GMT's Napoleonic Wars and a variety of other similar games. So we got, let's see, I don't know how much of this you'll see in the frame, but I'll unfold it anyway. What we got here is a very glossy, the paper's fairly thick, but it's real glossy, and the folds in it are very sharp. This game is a couple years old. It's from 2016. So this is something that I'm not seeing in their more recent releases. This super shiny paper that's kind of thick, but there's the creases tend to wear. We have a rule book, which is a 32-page rule book, full color matte finish, which you may know, since I mentioned it in every unboxing video where the rulebook has a matte finish, is my preference, but very attractive. We also have a sheet of counters. Now we have one sheet of counters here. These are on the thinner white core stuff. This actually feels very thin. Okay, so that's the thing I'm gonna talk about. This counter sheet feels very thin. However, I think if you look closely at it, you'll see how the counters are laid out on this sheet. Where instead of row, and it's broken up that way, these are actually broken up in completely horizontal rows that go all the way across the sheet. And I think that these are not particularly thinner than the average Compass Games counter from the period. I think the counter sheet layout is making the sheet feel thinner, or at least floppier. I mean, it's super bendy. I don't believe that's really going to be a problem once these are punched. Did this one have baggies? I'm not sure it did. That's okay. I can provide baggies if necessary. So the 9 Years War, the designer here, designers I should say, are Sean Chick and Chris Van Beerden. Artist Mark Mahaffey. I always want to say Matt Mahaffey for whatever reason. And it's a pretty similar style to the maps in No Peace Without Spain and A Pragmatic War. The scale's a little different, and this map looks at a glance very similar to the map of No Peace Without Spain, but I have compared the two side by side, and other than the stock it's printed on, they are actually different. There's a couple more spaces in Britain, for example, and there's a few other differences. Brest is not a point on the map of the other one, for example. This is a game, interestingly, that you can actually play with No Peace Without Spain. Even though the two periods are not exactly contiguous, there should be some kind of scenario in here. The Grand Campaign game, I think, is what we're looking at, that actually combines the two games. So you could play the War of the Spanish Succession that then goes into the 9 Years' War. This is, again, a 17th century conflict, late 17th century conflict that there's not a lot of games on, and that is nevertheless, I have done a little bit of reading on it, and it is fairly interesting. This was one, however, that I didn't really, at least I don't remember hearing about it in school. It was one that I had to dig up some details on myself. So interesting looking game. We are definitely going to put this giant bag of dice in an actual bag, so they don't just rattle around in the box. But other than that, this game, like the rest of the games in the sort of pseudo series, or such as it is, looks real interesting. So 9 Years, the War of the Grand Alliance, using the same system from No Peace Without Spain from Compass Games. Looks great. Hope to get it to the table soon, or at least one of the games in the series to the table soon, hopefully in the next month and a half or so. In the meantime, stay tuned. There are more videos afoot. So if you've liked this one, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me any questions in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel. And please share the video around. It's a big help for the channel. So I'll see you next time.